There's an ancient saying in India that goes along the lines of, paratha is really fucking difficult to make. I'm not saying that it's a common proverb, but it's crossed the mind of at least one Indian, and by that I mean my father. But in all honesty, paratha does in fact intimidate a lot of novice and amateur home cooks, so today on Ambitious Eats video, I'm going to show you how to make paratha from scratch and how to make a healthy coconut shrimp curry. You'll want to make the dough for the paratha first. Take 3 cups of flour, add about a teaspoon and a bit of salt, about a teaspoon of dried tarragon, and combine so that the flavor is mixed evenly in the flour. Add 1 cup of water, 1 large egg, an ounce of lemon juice, and combine with your hands until you have something of a shaggy dough. Knead for about 5 minutes on a lightly floured surface or until the gluten properly forms, and if you remember from my pizza video, you test that by simply pressing your finger anywhere on the dough. The dough should feel springy, a bit softer than a normal bread dough, and should be slightly darker in color due to the egg yolk. Then you place it back in the bowl and cover it tightly with cling film. While the dough is resting, make the base for your shrimp curry. Add 2 tablespoons of butter to a large Dutch oven over medium heat and melt. Once melted, take the shrimp tails from about 1 pound of shrimp and add that. Stir until the shrimp tails are pink and no gray remains. Then, add a cup each of chicken stock and white wine, dry white wine, and press with a potato masher. This step is critical as it lends a seafood flavor to the curry and you're not just tasting the spices and the other flavors. Keep mashing for about 3 minutes and then let simmer over low heat. Add a couple more tablespoons of butter or desi ghee to a large Dutch oven. Let the butter melt over medium heat and add 1 white diced onion, 2 cloves of minced garlic, an ounce of minced ginger, and a bundle of chopped cilantro, and optionally for some heat, 1 jalapeno pepper finely minced with the stems and seeds removed. Add your spices. A half teaspoon each of garam masala, turmeric, red chili powder, cumin powder, ground coriander, fennel seed, a teaspoon of ground cardamom and paprika each, and salt and pepper to taste. Add about a 1/3 cup of almond flour and a 1/3 cup of soaked cashews that have been pulsed and drained. Add your stock incrementally so that you don't make it too thin. I would do about a 1/4 cup at a time, maybe a 1/3, and keep stirring so that the almond and cashew don't clump and that the flavors mix evenly in the sauce. Then add about a cup of coconut cream and keep stirring. If the curry seems a bit thick for your liking, feel free to add more of your shrimp stock. I like it a bit thicker, so I only add about a cup of stock per pound of shrimp, but you do what you want. Turn the heat down to simmer and cover so it doesn't reduce too much. Now it's time to make the paratha, the moment you probably maybe perhaps have been waiting for. Separate the dough out into 6 evenly sized logs. I don't have a scale, but if you do, I recommend dividing the total weight by 6 and cutting the pieces that way. But you can play it by eyeball too, it doesn't matter how big or small the flatbreads are. You'll want to work the dough with your hands a little bit, forming a long worm sort of and gently flattening it out. Push the log out into a long, fairly thin rectangle, thin enough that you can almost see your fingers through the strip of dough. Keep stretching it with your hands until it's quite thin, almost as thin as fresh pasta that's been fed through a roller several times. Then, on the side of the dough facing you, add some flour and some room temperature desi ghee. This is what keeps the bread buttery and soft on the inside while maintaining a crispy, almost sort of wreath around the flatbread. Not adding ghee would probably result in some decent flatbread, but this really amplifies the texture, and paratha is all about texture. If you are allergic to dairy, you can use a neutral oil or even an infused olive oil like a garlic or rosemary infused olive oil, but ghee is certainly the way to go if you don't have any restrictions. Fold the rectangular strip of dough as if you're making a little paper fan, then roll it up into a disc. It should sort of look like a spiral or a rose. Make sure you crimp the end of it so it's not hanging off. After that, you just need to flour it and flatten it out with the rolling pin. When you are flattening it out, do not push down. Roll the flatbread outward away from the center. If you push down hard, it's all done. You've come all this way for nothing, and there is no greater way to disappoint me than mess up bread by being reckless. Push outward gently until you've got a round sheet of dough about a ½ centimeter in thickness or about 8 or so inches in diameter, and you'll want to change the angle at which you're rolling the dough so that you ensure you don't have any parts of the paratha that are thicker than others. In a frying pan or skillet, add a little smidge of ghee, not even a teaspoon, and heat it up. Add the flatbread and let heat up over medium heat on the first side for about 1.5 minutes. The first paratha always takes the longest. Then flip it over and cook another minute or until both sides have browned circles and it inflates a bit. If it's inflating, you're in really good shape. Keep moving it around in the pan every few seconds or so to ensure it doesn't stick. Keep repeating this step until all the paratha flatbreads are made, or if you just want to make 1 or 2, you can do that and freeze the rest for up to 3 months. Once the paratha flatbreads are ready to go, all you have to do now is add your shrimp to the Dutch oven and cook over very low heat for about 1 minute, maybe 2. Fold the shrimp in so it's completely incorporated and then let it cook until the shrimp are pink all the way through and there's no gray remaining. Kind of like how we did with the shrimp tails when we were cooking them in the butter with the stock and wine. Turn off the heat immediately and cover to keep warm. I would even go so far as to take it off the burner you used and put it on another hot plate that has not been used just for safety so the shrimp doesn't get overheated and get rubbery. And there you have it. My way to make paratha is easy, fun, a little messy, but most of all rewarding. Definitely something you can show off to your friends, and my dad's half Indian, so it's Indian approved. Like, subscribe, share the video, and comment if you have your own paratha making hacks. See you next time.